Barra, another Brownlow medal has come and gone, but not as usual without its controversy.
Yeah, and also probably, based on the votes, it should have been the greatest ever season by somebody to get that many votes.
Well, it is.
Like never broke all the records. So really, do we say this is the greatest season by a player?
Well, I think so. Back in 1975 and 1976, of course, both umpires gave their 3-2-1. There was a two-umpire system at the time, and they both gave 3-2-1. So that's when you had, I think, Teasdale with 59 votes. But
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
No, it was only 3-2-1, but both umpires gave them.
Wasn't there a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1?
Not in the VFL. No.
Okay, right.
I think there might have been in the Sandover for a while. Maybe.
Might have been, yeah. Must be getting confused.
The one thing I'll say, Patrick Cripps, thoroughly deserved winner. What a 45 votes. It's absolutely incredible. And 38 for runner-up for Nick Dacos, and we can talk about that in a moment. The one thing about Cripps, Barra, is I think it sort of removes the asterisk, because the last Brownlow he won 2 years ago, he was, of course, suspended for 2 matches, and he got off with a very good lawyer representing him. Not because he wasn't guilty, but because there was a legal technicality regarding the way the evidence was presented, and it just didn't sit right. But I think now he's franked his greatness with the greatest individual honour. No one can deny him, and how well did he speak?
Oh, matey, before we get into him, where do you sit on... so Cripps wins the Brownlow, Dacos wins the coach's MVP, which...
That can happen, though.
Bontempelli wins the players' MVP.
Didn't poll enough votes, not nearly
and
enough
Heaney got asterisked out. He'll probably win the bloody Norm Smith. Mind, he's going to have the last laugh, isn't he? He's going to get he'll get the premiership medal.
If they win, they're going to win yet.
So he doesn't care that Mark of the Year was taken off him.
Yes, that's true.
He should have won Mark of the Year.
Yeah, Bobby Hills was pretty good, though.
Mate.
It was a pretty good...
Do you reckon Bobby Hills is better than Isaac Heaney?
No, I don't. But I'll tell you what...
Why did you say it then?
Look, they're geez, it was a great... You know what the Bobby Hill flag... You know the Bobby Hill, if you slow-mo... But if you slow-mo it down, it looks like the raising of the flag at on Okinawa Island or whatever it was. You know the famous American flag raising? You have a look at it.
You reckon it's like the 4 soldiers pushing up this flag on the Japanese island?
Listeners, have a look and tell me I'm wrong. I saw it. A mate of mine.
He landed on his feet like a cat. I know that. That didn't help him, because otherwise Heaney, because the way Heaney did the roll and what's his name helped him.
By the way, Jamie Elliott's was all right too. Just quietly.
No mugs.
But no, I agree with you.
So he's been ripped off on that. He's been ripped off on probably the Brownlow. Notice after round 17, didn't really get a vote. So the umps have what? How do you feel about that, first of all?
He did have a quieter finish. Remember, Sydney went a bit on the nose late in the year, so there is that. But yeah, you're going to be reluctant to give him votes, aren't you, when you know he's ineligible? Just on that...
Should they be instructed to just give votes to the blokes that...
Well, no. The AFL should remove the ineligibility clause. So if you are suspended, you are still eligible. Now, the fact is, if you're egregiously out, so if you miss 5 or 6 weeks, you're not going to win it anyway because you won't poll enough votes. That Isaac Heaney is just being held back from taking a lead, and it was an innocuous incident.
No doubt.
For him to, if he did poll the most votes and to miss out, I think the AFL's dodged a massive banana skin, and I think we need to move with the times and just remove the ineligibility. Now, a lot of people...
So are you saying make it a best player award, not a best and fairest?
I am.
Yeah, right.
I am.
That's interesting because in terms of society, it's probably not what you want to foster. You want to foster sportsmanship and fairness.
Okay, then have a threshold at least. So if it's a 1 or 2 weeks. So let's be honest, most of the...
So if you get more than 2 weeks...
1 or 2 weeks suspensions these days, you would
I reckon
get nothing for 20 years ago.
You know? I reckon that's not bad. I reckon more than 2 weeks. Under 2 weeks, you're eligible.
See, that's how I get people like you over the line.
Yeah, no.
I'll go for no threshold.
I just keep seeing Barry Hall smacking Staker, and I'm thinking, if that prick... Sorry, if that guy was eligible...
It was a pretty average punch.
What about when he got off for the grand final? Remember he punched, what's his name, in the guts?
The AFL does like fairy tales.
And technically he was... If that was during the season, he would have still been eligible.
Yep, he would have.
How old's Barry Hall now?
I don't know. About 40.
He got belted up, didn't he, in a celebrity fight? Who belted him up? Was it a rugby league star?
Can I be honest with you, mate?
Everyone was barracking for the rugby league stuff.
Yeah, I love my boxing, but I don't like my celebrity boxing. I just think it demeans.
But he fancied himself.
Demeaning for the sport.
He
was a Golden Gloves as a younger bloke. He was a good boxer.
He didn't look like a Golden Gloves in the last fight. He looked like an old bloke.
Might have been a while.
Like us.
So you agree there should be a threshold?
Yes, I do, mate. Okay. I'll go with it, and I'll say 2 weeks. I think if you get 1 week, you're still eligible. Yep. 2 weeks is probably the line, you reckon? Or you reckon 3 weeks?
I'm saying you're eligible regardless.
Yeah.
I'm saying remove it. I think we've moved.
No, because then you will get some nufty winning who got 2 weeks,
Well, he's not a nufty. He's just one. He's just missed.
Yeah, I know, but
punishment. I think the punishment.
But imagine if it is that. Imagine.
Yeah. Well,
what did Gaff get? He got 9, so that's probably doesn't count. Did he get 8 or 9 or 6?
Well, you're not going to win it, are you?
Yeah,
because
so he
just
probably
missed
won't.
too many.
Mind you, going by the way Nick Dacos polls, and even Cripps, they could win it. Mate, the polling was unbelievable now.
Yeah.
And how much of a bloody midfielder's award is it too?
Yeah.
Let me tell you, who won the best and fairest at West Coast?
The best and fairest at West Coast was won by, God, there was only a couple of days
John
ago.
Worsfold.
No. It was the defender. It was...
Are you right?
Jeremy McGovern. Jeremy McGovern, of course.
That's right. So the Johnny Worsfold medal went to Jeremy McGovern. Mm-hmm. Hard to say sometimes when you're on the news. How many votes did he get?
I don't know how many votes.
None. He got none votes.
Sorry, on the Brownlow.
He got no votes.
Yeah.
No votes.
Yeah.
He's an All-Australian. He got in the All-Australian team.
So now...
So explain that.
Okay, now I can. Do you want me to give you my solution?
Yeah, I'm ready, mate.
My solution?
I'm ready.
I've written about this.
Yeah. Have you?
Yeah. So this is my solution.
Is that coming out, is it?
No, I've written about this
I have
a year or so ago.
Yeah, no, it was good.
So what was it? Gotcha. Okay. What it was, the umpires give 3 votes. 1 has to be a defender, 1 has to be a forward, and 1 has to be a midfielder in any particular. So your 3 can go to a midfielder. And so you may say, the midfielders are getting the 3s. Yeah, but your defender or your forward will get 2 or 1. And ruckmans fall into the midfielder category in that capacity. So
not bad.
It's not bad. You're forced to give...
What about just giving the umpires the stats? That'd be handy.
Oh, yeah. Well, it probably would be.
For example, Cripsy had 19 touches in round 3 and went at an efficiency at 14% by foot, and he got 2 votes.
Yeah.
And then Dacos, they got the wrong Dacos. Nick Dacos didn't get a vote. He got the vote. He got 15 disposals, and his brother had 34. So they obviously balls that up too.
They don't look that much alike.
I know, he had a beard. One's got a beard. Oh, yeah. Hello. Give the beard guy one.
It's not like Alistair and Stuart Lord in 1963, the Geelong the twins.
You got that song? Where's the song, mate? You've got the song this week. He's got the song again.
Jeez, what's going on with Josh,
mate?
the producer?
He's very unlike Josh. Yeah. He's normally on the ball. I reckon he hates the song. He's giving it the arse.
Too,
do you hate it, dear? We'll get another one if you don't like it.
No,
he invented it,
63, I think it was... Alice Stewart won one of the Alistair and Stuart Lord were Geelong twins. One of them was reported, and he was the one who was fancied to win the Brownlow. So his brother said, "No, it was me. You got the wrong guy. I'm the one who hit him." He ended up getting rubbed out, and he won the Brownlow. So there you go.
You're right about Cripps's speech. I mean, we'll go to Andy Brayshaw in a moment.
Not Andy. Angus.
But A. Brayshaw, the other A. Brayshaw. But Cripsy, very good. Again, the story he told about being at Aquinas, small boy, kept his towel on in the showers because he's a slow developer. And then later on he had his towel over his shoulder, as McLaughlin said.
I thought the...
Spoke of his shyness, his stutter, and his fear of public speaking.
Well, he's got over that.
A Northampton country boy. Geez, he's come a long way, hasn't he?
Very humble speech as well, I thought. I was really proud for him. I thought he's done a great job.
What do you think of Northampton? Northampton.
Unbelievable production. Very fertile production zone, Barra.
So all the Crippses.
Josh Kennedy.
Harry Taylor.
Geez.
Daniel Chick. Wow. Andrew Lockyer. We can keep going, can't we? Teakle. Lockyer. The other Lockyer. Tarkin Lockyer. Yeah, I think East Fremantle's done very well out of that area. Perth needs an area like that. Northern not bad. Well, Bobby Hill, mark of the year. We can.
So Bobby Hill gets Harley gets goal. I was pretty happy with that.
On behalf of the West Australian?
No, I just thought it was a good goal. You've taken on Christian Petracca. You've done the double dusty fend off, and you've kicked it on the run from the centre clearance. It's a pretty good goal.
What about
It's a great goal.
what about Nick Dacos's goal?
That was good too, but no, I'm glad Ali won that. Absolutely. It won't be the last time he wins goal of the year, I'm tipping. Probably win a mark of the year at some stage as well. And he, that was an interesting interview as well on the evening. But the best interview of the night was clearly Angus Brayshaw.
Yeah. And the fact that 8 months later, 8 months after he had to retire because of concussion, or that concussion symptoms or whatever it was.
That was concussion symptoms. He was medically retired, so he has to front an AFL board. The medical evidence is presented, and then they say it's too dangerous for you to continue playing. Basically, you're sort of deregistered. And he was, for those who didn't watch it, he was representing this year's crop of retired AFL players. He spoke at length, and he spoke really well, and he spoke about the void it leaves in your life once it's over, and how there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I thought it was a very positive speech. I thought it was very eloquent, and I think it really hit home for everyone in that room. So well done to Angus.
How do you reckon Maynard feels when he hears that sort of stuff? How much it's hurt him and affected him?
Yeah, well,
that must be horrible for Maynard.
I'm sure he's. Yeah, I don't think it would be. He would like to hear that. No, not at all.
That'd really strike me at the heart, because he said he was in what did he say? A deep void. He's still in a deep void 8 months later.
Pretty hard to replace. Do you still miss football, Barra?
There's a real insight into how hard it is to transition from to
Did you struggle to transition?
No. It wasn't really.
You were playing a bit of WAFL at the end anyway, weren't you?
I played rugby league.
Yeah, you did too.
That's how much I was having no problems transitioning. But those guys, they're full time, and as he said, it took up every minute of his day, and then suddenly there was nothing there. There was nothing to fill the vacuum. So, yeah, I thought it was a real eye opener. He's a deep person too. Not all players are as deep or as intellectual, you would say. So they can move on a lot quicker. I'm not saying that they're not as good people. I'm just saying that
I know what you're saying.
That famous line about the most perfect player is the one who understands basic tactics but thinks footy is really, really important. That's the perfect player. Now, if you're too smart, you're going, what? I'm just playing footy here. It's not going to change the world. It's not going to help me get to heaven, or it's not going to save my soul, or it's not going to, whatever your beliefs are, is it? You're just having a game.
Well, interesting though, you look at people like Riley O'Brien, who wins the Jim Steins Community Award, and I like that award. Just you realise the amount of work people put in, voluntary capacity to help others. So, well done to him. That was a fantastic award.
He spoke well too, and wasn't the Docker bloke up for it? Bailey Banfield was up for it as well, wasn't he? See him wearing pearls? He must be involved with a pearl company.
He's from Broome.
Yeah, a lot of people from Broome not wearing pearls.
Yeah, well, I'm tipping he's involved with.
But he must be involved in the pearl industry, is he?
Yeah, I think
because he was wearing a necklace of pearls.
An ambassador.
What do they call those pearls? A clutch of pearls, or no? And I'm not leading you into any joke.
Yes, you are.
I'm not.
A necklace of sorts, Barra. That's where you're trying to lead.
A pearl necklace.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
No, but I'm not. I'm just saying that. The old matrons who wear those pearls. Yeah. Well, not that pearls are for old matrons, but often you see them in the western suburbs.
You're asking me what the term of it is. Do I look like I'm a pearl necklace wearing guy?
I'm glad you said wearing. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Hey, listen, before we get on to some amazing weekend of footy, we should talk about the WAFL.
Yes, mate. Yeah, so you're finished with the Brownlow.
Well, what you've got any other points to raise?
Well, I just wanted to say I think we do need to move the bye. I know that you've sort of been crapping on about this forever, and you probably did.
Because I'm right.
You probably wrote a column about it a year ago.
About 10.
I now think that perhaps the bye needs to be before the grand final.
Hallelujah! Can we have some hallelujah?
Hallelujah! There you go. No, because you know the reason? Now that we've got two non-Victorian teams in the grand final.
They could have gone to the Brownlow.
Yes, mate.
And also...
they weren't there, so it lost a bit of...
So I'll rate two other players? Oh, well, I don't think Oscar McInerney would have got up anyway, but Logan McDonald and Callum Mills, do you reckon they'd like the extra week?
Yes.
I reckon they would. By the way, congratulations to the local pollers. So Caleb Sarong topping Fremantle's poll with 28, Andrew Brayshaw 22, Hayden Young 12 for the Eagles, Elliot Yeo 8, Jake Waterman 7, and Harley Reid 7.
Caleb, what about Caleb though? That's amazing.
Fourth.
Fourth. So
had a great year.
So he
All
might
Australian.
he could be a silly chance to win one, pinch one at some stage.
Did you not think that already?
Well, mate, he just got obliterated by Cripsy and Dacos. But if those guys weren't around, because he was in the 20s and he's in the 40s and 30s.
Well, I think the same goes for Zach Butters, who polled 29, and Sarong and Heaney were level on 28. I mean, there's a few players that, you can just see some places poll. Lachie Neale was surprising. He didn't poll that well.
No.
Gold Coast was interesting for me. I thought Noah Anderson, I'm not sure what he ended up on, but he probably gets more. Matt Rowell, I thought, didn't have as good a year as previous years, but he just polls his socks off, Matt Rowell. So if he puts a season together, he's winning one.
And same as Caleb. Are you saying that the umpires, leave it with the umpires because of tradition? Just because...
I'm happy.
And they don't always get it wrong. They've never got... Oh, actually, in fact, I don't think... Have they got it wrong in recent times?
No, I think Cripps is a deserved winner. Lockie last year. Did Bont deserve it last year? That's my call, but... I won't begrudge Lachie Neale.
But, I mean, Cripps, they probably got it right, though Dacos maybe could have won. But I'm just wondering, with that, when they don't have a look at the stats, I mean, the best judges are the coaches, aren't they?
Yep.
So if you handed it over to the coaches to give their awards...
It's not going to be the
case.
case.
It's not the same,
I think I'm happy...
I like the tradition.
Yeah, so that you maintain the tradition of the Brownlow by having the umpires vote on it, I think, and you still do a 3-2-1. But you just remove that ineligibility clause, and I will concede a threshold if that's what gets it up.
Yeah, and what about giving them the stats?
Yeah, the stats is fine. I'm happy to give them the stats.
I've played games of footy when I came, and I've come off, and I haven't have a clue who was BOG.
Yeah,
you
that
know what
happens.
I mean? So I'm a player, and I'm out there,
Hey, mate,
and I know what's going on.
Sometimes you watch it and you're the same. It's sometimes it's hard. It's a really tight, enclosed game. You don't have much idea. So, yeah, that's I think that's the way to go.
Let me ask you this too. So these 5 names, do they all sit comfortably together? Or is it just early days and we're getting used to it? And I feel like maybe down the track we will. So Goods, Judd, Ablett, Williams, if you want, Cripps, Neale.
Well, we have to say yes because they've all won 2 Brownlows.
But you paused there, so what were you thinking?
Look, I think Patrick Cripps, if you look at him, he's won, I think their best and fairest, their John Nichols medal is in about a week. If he wins, he draws alongside John Nichols with 5. All right, so that's what I like to see, the best and fairest stack up as well. I'm not sure how many Lockie's won at Brisbane, although, of course, he was at Fremantle before that. So does Lockie belong with that group?
All dual Brownlow medalists. 5? There's 5? Does he... Goods, Judd, Ablett,
There's
Fife,
sort of different players.
Williams.
I think at his peak he was as good as them, but I don't think he's had the length of performance.
So you're obviously putting Goods, Judd, and Ablett ahead of the rest of them.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I am.
For a double.
Would you not?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if down the track in a couple of years' time we'll look back and go, yeah, no.
Well,
sweet.
I think the more pertinent point is those who've won 3. So if Lockie wins another one, he's won 3. Is he as good as Bob Skilton? That's the argument to have.
Ian Stewart. Changed his name by deed poll.
Yes, yeah.
No, yeah. How do we know about those guys? How good were they?
Bobby
never played in grand final premiership, did he?
No, I didn't see Skilton. I didn't see either of them.
Mind you,
live.
Cripsy mightn't play in a premiership either.
Yeah. Well, let's hope
Goodsy did. Juddy did. Ablett did. Lachie Neale maybe.
Yeah.
This year.
Hope that he does. Look, I thought he certainly showed a lot of love for his coach, didn't he? Vossi last night.
Yeah.
And his teammates.
Has he got 2?
Family.
Has he got 2 Brownlows, Voss? No.
Just the one.
No, because he had Acker and Black as well, didn't he? Yeah. No, it's interesting. And, it's interesting that the news came out today that Jack Lukosius is leaving the Gold Coast too. So,
but we knew that, though, didn't we?
Yeah, but he's going to Port Adelaide.
Yeah, we knew he was going to. Didn't know he was going to Port, but we knew he was going back to Adelaide, his hometown. That makes sense. Don't think we've seen anywhere near the best of Jack Lukosius. Great kick.
All of a sudden, Gold Coast, they're trying to get Dusty. No. They're trying to get Rioli.
Let's leave the Dusty one for one of our bit of mail
okay,
that we're getting
right.
later on. Now, look, 25,481 turned up to Optus Stadium. I was one of them, Barra, and I'll give you a funny little segue into it. I turned up at the Shoe Bar. My old mate Higo had a East Perth Supporters Club function before the main event. I'm not an East Perth supporter. I'm an East Fremantle supporter. But I turned up and just having a bit of a chat to Higo, and he said, how do you think we're going to go? And I said, mate, I'm not sorry, but I think you're going to get beaten. I think this side's too AFL prepared for you, right? And they, by the way, it's not necessarily a crack at Peel. They're the rules. They're playing within the rules. So well done to you. But I thought watching them against Swan Districts the week before, they just looked bigger and more advanced on the sort of the dry conditions. So
what do you reckon's happened? Last year they didn't look like that, did they, Peel?
Oh, they didn't look that interested, the AFL players, on grand final day.
What's happened, do you think?
Oh, they're interested this year. Maybe they've played a bit more with them this year, but look, they just look ready and prepared and interested. But the story I was going to tell you, so about the shoe bar, having a chat to Higo, tell him I don't think you're going to win. And then there's a guy doing a bit of a raffle, wandering around with a mic, just asking people who they think they're going to win. And he comes to me 2 minutes after I've had the chat with Higo Barra.
Yeah.
He said, who wins? And I said, East Perth, 4 goals. Everyone, yes. And I go back to Higo and he goes, you just told me 2 minutes ago. I said, mate, you got to read the room.
Oh, yeah, right. You did the righty.
East Perth.
Yeah, well, I copped the same thing from Bronte Howson, the president of East Perth. He had his own box. They had a big function.
Yep.
The East Perth function was bloody fantastic, actually. I was at the WAFL one, the footy
What was
commission
that
one.
In the
Right
Victory
next
Lounge
to,
or the
right
Swan?
next to the Victory.
Oh, so you're in the Black Swan room, were you?
No, I was in the Victory, but he
Oh,
was in
were
the
you?
Black Swan. Was like
So you were
sit
doing
down.
it-
It was looking good.
No chance of you coming. Sorry, no chance of you coming out and just with the battlers like me, just out in the general admission.
No, well,
Oh, in the Victory Lounge.
I'm a president. See, I'm supposed to be. I was wearing a suit anyway. So, not that I would have loved to have been out amongst the hoi polloi. No doubt about that.
The the battlers.
No, but anyway, then I had to find Bronte because Chubby Styles is in hospital, not
Yep.
unwell, and he couldn't get to the footy, and he wanted me to pass on a message to Bronte of wish him luck. And he made me swear to it.
And let's pass one on to Chubby. We love you, mate, and get well soon.
It's great, man. I think he's going okay now. But so then I went to the function. I couldn't find Bronte. He'd gone. He had his own box, so I went up to his box up there, and then. I said to him, straight away. I said, I messaged from Chubbo, and he goes, "Yeah. I saw you on the news last night. You said Peel Thunder were favourites because what's his name? Wilson had come in, and also Will Brodie." And I said, "Well, I think that's probably right, isn't it?" And he was none too happy. But in the end,
You were right.
I mean, those.
And by the way, well done to East Perth. Had a crack in the last quarter. I thought it was done.
Yeah, within
Had
10
a
points.
crack.
10 points.
Yep, had a crack.
They just couldn't finish.
Overwhelming.
They just, you know what? It was the polish that did them in. The
Well, if
polish
you look
did them
at most of Peel's better players, Erasmus, who won the Simpson medal, great game from him. O'Driscoll, Warner, Reedy, all Dockers. But, again, they're not a criticism. It's just a fact. I'm just reading the facts out. And I thought good effort by Hamish Brayshaw to get out there and have a crack. He didn't have the explosive burst off the mark. He was a bit slowed down by his foot injury. But I thought he still did really well inside the contest and gave them something. Croden and Jones, the ruckman. I thought
Jones was awesome.
When they were 10 points down in the last quarter, I thought if they get up, he wins the Simpsons.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Scott Jones was amazing. I can't believe he's not still in the AFL, really. He was on the Dockers list, wasn't he?
Yep.
And that's why Crowden went to East Perth to play with his mate. The old Docker connection.
Yep.
But that's interesting how you lose your polish too, don't you, really? Because, the Dockers guys, they had the polish,
Because
didn't
they're AFL prepared.
Yeah, I know.
They've been training in an AFL
But the other
squad.
guys played AFL too. But
I know, but you haven't been there for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So you're just...
85,000 on telly, so that was good. That was a good figure. And 25,000, as you mentioned, at the game. Probably if it's East Perth Swans, probably get 30-odd, you reckon?
Yeah, for sure. So, that's just the way it rolls. Interesting.
They've won 3 flags in 8 years, is it, or something?
Yeah.
Peel?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
How do you feel about that?
Good on them. They're the rules at the moment. I think it'll go to an AFL National Reserves competition eventually, which I think it needs to. But I'm concerned a little bit about the WAFL, what happens to it then. But I think most people would want it to be its own competition. Do you agree? Without the AFL influence?
Yeah.
Or do you billet them out, or what do you do? I mean, that's never going to happen again because Peel's got a good relationship with Freo. West Coast has its own team.
And Peel is actually a club, isn't it? That's the thing. It started as I was listening to Phil Gilbert when he first went there.
Colts reserves, whereas West Coast is just a manufactured entity. So pretty hard for them to get that.
Kind of not ideal. You don't really want the AFL aligned clubs winning, do you? Not too much anyway.
Well, you want them to be competitive. And you want them to be probably playing finals in case your AFL team's playing finals.
So have they got the mix just right? Because it's 12, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think so, mate. I'd rather have a national reserves comp, but that's just me. And did you note the SANFL, Glenelg v Norwood? The Glenelg got up.
That was a belter.
And you had the VFL with Werribee getting up. And so on the same weekend, can you imagine that middle weekend before the grand final of back-to-back state grand finals? Amazing.
So what are you saying there?
I'm saying they should have it nationally televised.
Yeah,
It's like a marathon of grand finals over the Saturday and the Sunday, but it's back-to-back. And you'd have the AFLW games around it as well, so that you've always got something to watch and nationally televised. So your state sponsors get their national eyeballs on them for a day.
Would that be enough if you did have a bye, the pre-grand final bye, if it was the weekend before the grand final in the AFL was the bye, would that be enough for punters to carry momentum? Because you'd only have 2 prelims, then you'd have 2 weeks off.
But you'd have I reckon the momentum would be there because you've had no week off after the end of the home and away and you're straight into finals. You get to the prelim.
But it was it's 2 weeks off is what I'm saying. Is that that loses a bit of momentum, doesn't it?
No, I don't think.
To the grand final.
Oh, I think with the grand final you can get away with it because it's such a big game and such a big event.
I'm speaking to Channel 7 person that weekend.
Yes.
Quarters.
Yes.
So for 2 weeks without footy.
Move the Brownlow, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Actually, no, you want
Sunday
Brownlow
night.
first
Sunday
week.
night Brownlow.
No, you want it first week because you want, as we've just discussed, non-Victorian teams to be able to attend.
Yeah, so you can't move it to Sunday night.
You have other big events.
So what? Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. All those games you just mentioned, are they good enough to carry the momentum? Not really.
Well, I think. Well, the thing is.
What about a state of origin game?
Yeah, you could do something like that.
And you honestly need something like that because if there's a weekend before the grand final, it's not huge. It's flat. You do lose momentum, particularly because you've only had those 2 games the weekend before.
Yep.
Bit to think about anyway, my friend.
There is a bit to unpick.
Yes,
We've tried to do our best. Now, let's just talk about some AFL preliminary final action. The first game didn't live up to its billing. Sydney 14-11-95, Port Adelaide 8-11-59. Heaney, once again, sensational game. Player of the finals for mine. Let's see what happens on Saturday. Errol Goulden, Blakey, Rowbottom, Chad Warner, Florent, Papley kicks 3. And I think Port Adelaide, as I probably suspected, had spent their pennies. And thank goodness that stat's gone now, that eight in a row and 3 in a row at the SCG. I just couldn't. It was a head scratcher, Barra. I couldn't get my head around how they've had so much domination against Sydney. It just didn't make any sense to me. And I think we saw a very good football team. I mean, Boak, you felt a bit sorry for him. Jace Burgoyne, another great game. Rosie Butters had a crack. I think Sweet was good again in the ruck against Grundy. But I think Sydney just had a bit too much polish when it counted. So coming out of that game, Barra, what's your early gut feel? Callum Mills' hamstring, I think it's about 18 days by the time the grand final comes around. And, of course, Logan McDonald, who missed the 2022 was dropped for the 2022 grand final.
They put it in Reed, one of the great balls ups of all time. And I was speaking to their family yesterday and saying they reckon that he feels good, that he feels like it's going to be okay.
So he's rolled the inside of the foot.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between the inside and the outside?
You just squeeze the ligament or whatever on the inside, so it's not as bad. But with that, it's not his kicking foot as well.
He was good.
He was good, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
He actually did kick 2. Logan, he was good.
So you're going to play.
Logan.
So Logan plays.
Former Perth Demon, fantastic guy, and I think he comes in. I think Mills. I think he stays in, and Mills. I think he's going to declare himself. So it's going to be up to Longmire.
So does Longmire, given what happened 2 years ago with Reed, does he take the gamble on a bloke with a hamstring 18 days? Because traditionally we give him 21, don't we?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. He's got a really tough call.
He is the captain, isn't he?
Yeah,
Can you leave the captain out?
Co-captain.
Can you leave the co-captain out?
Well, if he's fit, he's fit. So they've got to work through that this week. I'd hate him to do a hammy early. I really, really would. But anyway, we will see what happens there. And
it was sort of predictable that win in the end, wasn't it?
It was.
It sort of re-established, transmission as it was.
Yeah.
So I know those 8 games in a row was some. I don't know what that was. What the word is
round
for that.
21, 112-point defeat. I just still look back on that and think, what the hell happened there? I guess it's over in Adelaide. You're having a bit of a bad trot. You just turn your toes up some days.
Port Adelaide's forward line. I was surprised they played Dixon. Were you surprised?
Yep.
It's just like, what's going on there? And then Georgiades couldn't go again, unfortunately.
I thought he was okay.
He was okay, but they just couldn't kick enough goals.
But what did they do? What did the Port? What was the instruction that did not change? They went long bombs into the forward line. Didn't change it up at all. You got Willie Rioli down there. You can spot a target. I just thought that was great coaching the week before against Hawthorn. Not so good against Sydney, I thought, from Ken Hinkley. And
that Papley, if he's on your team, you like him, but otherwise not so much.
Oh, I just like him. I like him. He's going to be up and he's the barometer, isn't he? Really.
You know what? I hope Starcevic gets hold of him, just gets right on top of him. Because remember Starce in last year's grand final. Well, he had the hang taken on him as well.
He did too, Bobby. Yeah.
He's very hard for him.
Very underrated young player. Good
shaved
young
head
man.
now. Good bloke from WA.
What do you reckon he's done the old shave the head at the start of the year and then I'll just grow it back? And as it's growing back, you realise
it's not growing back so much.
The way
Isn't it supposed to grow back better after you ever shave your head?
Well, apparently, unless you're, follically.
I'd love to shave my head. They won't let me on 7.
No.
You can't have. There's no bald blokes on TV. Oh, very few. Can you think of any bald guys?
Not intentionally.
Go back to Yul Brenner. He was good.
Telly Savalas. So what about the other game? What a crackerjack game. Brisbane-Geelong. Brisbane finally 14-11-95. Geelong 12-13-85. I've got to hand it to Chris Scott. You can look at the stats either way. 14 years at the helm, 2 premierships, 9 preliminary finals, but 6 losses. So where do you sit on it? You've got them there. And they lost by 10 points. Looked like they had the momentum too, but what a shift. I thought Cam Rayner, who I think hasn't stood up in big finals in the past. Chris Fagan was supporting him last week, which as a coach does, but I thought he needed to stand up. And I think after half-time, I reckon he made a very, very big statement. Kai Lohman, he is some player. Lockie Neal was there again. McCluggage, the usual. Starcevic, great game. Zorko, Bailey, Archie. Geelong hung in there. Max Holmes going off injured, I think was a massive swing in the game. I mean, Oscar McInerney popping the shoulder out. That was also a big turning point. But he was able to get back on for a couple of quarters, which probably saved the game for them. Do you agree? Because he just was there to do enough.
What happens there, like, if you dislocate your shoulder twice in a game, it's going to be pretty unusual. You know how painful that is? That is so painful. I mean, you could see from his face how much pain he was in. But to have it pop back in and give it a jab, strap it up, go back out, and then for it to pop out again, that would be one of the most painful things in footy.
So I don't think he's playing this week, mate.
He'll be feeling so sore.
So Darcy Fort comes in this week, I think.
Or do you just leave Joey in the ruck?
No.
Joey Danaher.
Brody Grundy, mate. You need a bona fide ruckman. Bring in Darcy Fort.
I'm starting to warm to Joey Danaher because he is a match winner.
He is.
It's just frightening.
As I said, Holmes was a big, when he went out of the game. Dangerfield, Tom Stewart, Brian Myers, Ollie Henry, Lawson Humphreys, two good finals from him, from the WA boys, so well done to him. And look, sad scenes for them. Zach Tui done and Tom Hawkins done. But great careers.
Yeah, that's interesting. Did they make the right decision there?
By what? By retiring?
No.
By not playing? Oh, you mean the big decision I thought was Tom de Koning not playing.
Yeah. Did he make the decision of not playing the right decision? De Koning, Hawkins, and Tui?
I think Hawkins. Sorry.
Well, given they lost,
I think
maybe he didn't.
I think de Koning's the one.
Yeah.
De Koning for me is the one that I think they erred on. But he would admit that. But you know what? It's hot in that chair, mate, and we don't know how hot it is.
How did our mate Shannon, the fella from Perth?
He was okay. He wasn't outstanding. Didn't take hold of the game.
Would you have rather seen Hawkins?
No.
No, I
don't think. Look, I was actually a big supporter of Hawkins coming back into that side right at the pointy end. But then I had a chat to someone and they pointed out his form was pretty average when he was injured.
Right.
And so there are no guarantees, and maybe the game's just gone past him, as it does Barra. So I think he retires with a wonderful career behind him. I mean,
no doubt.
You know.
Danaher would have, not Danaher, Dangerfield, he probably would have missed the grand final, wouldn't he? With that incident?
No, because he got off. He was fine.
But if he was in the grand final, would they have just...
Nah, fine.
You reckon he still would have got a fine? Jeez,
Well, you reckon if they win...
He's kissed on the proverbial, isn't he?
You reckon if they win, he doesn't get off that?
Well, they would have been having a much more close look at it because jeepers. And what about...
Was a bit dodgy.
And what about Calamarchi, the WA boy?
Oh.
Mate, how good's he going? He's just gone bang, his 3 goals.
Yeah.
Take that and that. And here's the sealer.
And missed a goal assist too, isn't he?
Yeah. That's I reckon in some senses, I know there's, Chad Warner and there's McDonald and the guys playing for the Sydney Swans, but there's just as big a link to the... And how's the Victorians trying to say it's Buddy Fitzroy versus South Melbourne?
What about the last time they played in the grand final? The Swans
Turn of the century.
Swans and the Lions, 1899.
Turn of the century, wasn't it?
I'd love to have been in the crowd that day.
Yeah,
Top hats and tails and snuff boxes, Barra.
We need that music.
Handlebar mustaches.
Come in on your... What are those?
Come in on your Cobb and Co coach.
No, what are those big bikes called with the giant front
The
wheel?
perambulator. No, you're talking about the penny farthing. yeah.
I can see you on a penny farthing.
With a big handlebar.
I can see your pistols of fart leaving on a penny farthing and crashing into the bush and
wouldn't be doing that.
getting arrested. But honestly, what about the Vics trying to claim it as Fitzroy South Melbourne? Honestly, give me what you think about that. Come on, be honest.
Well, you've got to have some skin in the game, don't you? I reckon they were.
But you accept that
I
they're
reckon
a Queensland team.
the daily tabloid in Melbourne, the Herald Sun, I reckon they were pretty dark when Geelong lost.
Yeah.
You need to have some skin in the game.
But do you accept that it is a Brisbane and a Sydney?
Well, I can tell you
a New South Wales Queensland thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but
like state of origin.
But hang on, there is still a group. So the Swans have SMFC on the back of their jumper, South Melbourne Football Club. I think the Brisbane Lions also have FFC, Fitzroy Football Club. There is a lot, and I have mates who are South Melbourne and Fitzroy or who were South Melbourne and Fitzroy supporters who have transitioned across, but they're still very proud with that Victorian element to it. So there is a small but loyal band there in Victoria who represent those two teams.
Just remembered that.
But it's a Queensland Sydney thing.
Who's presenting the trophy?
Oh God, there's a few of them.
It'd have to be Warwick Kappa, wouldn't it?
Kappa. Do you reckon he'd say that when he gets up onto the podium?
Yeah,
it's not him.
He would keep him away. You'd keep him away from the mic because he's completely mad. But he did play for both clubs, didn't he?
He did.
He'd be the perfect guy, wouldn't he?
Well, some say he didn't really play for Brisbane. No one would kick it to him.
Is that right? They didn't like him.
They didn't kick it to him.
Is that right? What he was
on a squillion when he went to Brisbane.
Persona non grata.
Yeah.
What about Hardy and all those guys? They went on 2 cents, were they?
Merritt.
Who else went up there?
Yeah, Rodney
Rainsy.
Rodney Eade, Ross Lyon.
Why didn't they like Kappa?
Mike Richardson.
Yeah, a lot of blokes went for the day, didn't they?
Good on him.
Yeah, I'm not having a crack at him. I'm just thinking, Zanotti.
Yeah, but you didn't get the phone call. You didn't get the phone call.
I got the phone call. I just said, no, I'm not.
Did you get the
offer? I was thinking of
going
to Sydney, actually.
Oh, yeah.
To tell you
I can see you in Sydney.
Yeah, because rugby league.
Yeah.
It's rugby, all that
I
stuff.
don't. No, I think it's who is presenting the trophy this year. It's a very good question.
We'll bring them all up on Friday.
We'll bring
on
those
Thursday.
up on
When's
Thursday.
our other show on? On Thursday. What day is it?
It's only the 25th consecutive week of the Tuesday and Thursday shows, but nevertheless, while we're at it, mate, it's now time for this.
Saddle up your camel. It's time for the Thirsty Camel mailbag.
Thank you once again to Thirsty Camel. This week's special, buy a 10-pack of Jack Daniel's Double Jack and Cola for your chance to win a sports trip of your design to the USA, only $61.99. Once again, we have a $50 gift voucher to give away thanks to Thirsty Camel. Get your questions into quartersandbarra at wanews.com.au. Question without notice, Barra. Mm-hmm. If you won a sports trip of your design to the USA, where would you go?
To the USA?
You go to any sports, one event, you got to go.
Yeah, I'm not massive on the NBA, but I probably wouldn't mind at Madison Square Garden having a look. But probably the NFL is going to be my go.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. Even college ball. I went to a couple of college games. Like USC versus UCLA.
I'd love to go to a college game.
It seems to be a better vibe.
I've been
or maybe that was when I was younger and there's lots of young people there.
No, college would. We might be a bit old now. I've been to
Never too old, mate.
I've been to the Yankees at old Yankee Stadium.
Oh yeah.
I've been to the
That'd be
NFL out at New Jersey, there, New Meadowlands, whatever it's called now. That was the Giants v the Cowboys.
Yeah, Yankee Stadium is a big
day.
one.
That was
Boston.
Yeah. And I went to Madison Square Garden. I saw who was on first? I saw the Hoops on the Monday night, and that was the Knicks v Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, right.
And then the next night, I saw the ice hockey, which was my favourite of the lot, and that was the Rangers.
You like the ice hockey
versus the Washington Capitals,
Yeah.
and Alexander Ovechkin. He's one of the Ovechkin. Anyway, he's one of the greats. He was playing that night. But you know what I'd do? I've got one above them all.
The marathon.
No.
New York Marathon?
I've run that.
Yeah,
Tick
no.
that one off.
Oh, okay, righto.
No, I'd be going to the US Masters.
Yeah.
I'd be going to the Masters.
that's a
Final
good one.
round.
That's a
or
good
all
one.
4 days.
Yeah, I've been to Pebble Beach, but you're right. I was talking to someone about that this week. The Masters. Yeah, that's a good one.
Pimento cheese sandwiches.
Even though Tiger's not there,
it's just the tradition of the place.
I know. It's just going across that bridge, and walking
The
and
bridge.
following, the famous.
Oh, yeah, Rays Creek.
Yeah,
Rays Creek.
over Rays Creek.
Around Amen Corner there.
Amen Corner. Yeah, where Greg Norman choked up.
Oh, he's got a couple,
allegedly.
put a couple of balls in that creek.
Wasn't that one of the great chucks?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, beautiful
I feel
place.
sorry for the great man. We
old
love the shark.
Oh, we do? Yeah, it's an old... he's got a bust of himself in his own backyard, don't you?
He loves getting around in the nude by the look of it.
Yeah, well, who doesn't, Barra? Hi, gents. How do you feel about the Victorian commentators referring to South Melbourne v Fitzroy in the grand final?
Jake.
Is it okay? It feels there needs to be a disconnect between pre-1990 when teams wore the VFL emblem and when it became AFL. Example, Collingwood has won 3 grand finals in AFL, not 16. While I understand there are historical South Melbourne and Fitzroy supporters, it seems to take away from the 90% of supporters which support them due to geography, being their local team. Love to hear your thoughts. That was Daniel from Albany. That's a good point, Daniel. Nah, you're not having... Nah, Hawthorn's got 13, Collingwood's got 16.
When did the AFL become into vogue? Was it 1990, was it?
1990.
Was Collingwood the first, that one was the first
Yes, it
AFL
was.
premiership?
Yes, it was.
Right.
So Hawthorn was the
and
last
then we were
in
the
89.
second, you won the second, and we won the third.
That's right.
And the fifth. Yeah, right. And that's what it should be, but you say no.
Well, these clubs joined the VFL to become the AFL.
But then the
Wasn't anything
VFL
else.
disappeared, mate.
Yeah, but it's still, you still got to count
Why do
the
we have to
flag.
carry your
Because
thing
the-
on?
Because the clubs, they were big premiership wins. You've got to carry
Fitzroy
them
doesn't
through.
exist anymore. South
It
Melbourne
does
doesn't
through
exist.
sort of the Lions. It was the
Why-
Brisbane Bears, now they're the
but
Brisbane Lions.
intellectually, why do we have to carry on your thing?
Intellectually.
Yeah, why? Why is there's no reason to do it?
Okay, well, you don't have to, mate, but I will.
'Cause it's not your
I will
comp anymore.
cling on to those cups
It's not your comp.
like they're a life buoy, my friend,
Why do we have to have the Brownlow Medal? Who's Charles Brownlow?
who's an administrator.
Yeah, I know he was, but I'm being rhetorical.
Okay, fine, change it.
Who was he?
Why do you have to change
He was
everything?
a Victorian
He was
official,
from Geelong, actually.
a Geelong official.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we have to have him? Why do we have to have Norm Smith getting the blee blah?
Okay,
You
what's
know,
the lead
wh-
blah? You mean the best player in the grand final?
Yeah, why Norm Smith? Why not some
great,
other?
great grand final performer, great grand final coach.
Yeah, is there anyone from the other states that did any good?
Yes.
Yeah,
And we
like,
can have
is
some
John
awards
Todd,
for them.
he went okay.
I'd like to see a John Todd medal somewhere. We've had this discussion. You know I'm for that.
I'm starting to think that maybe now's the time, mate. Let's get with the times. It's been, what's that, 10, 20, 34 years, mate.
Mm-hmm.
30, is that right? 34 years?
Yep.
I see they're posting the VFL Grand Final in 1899. Fitzroy 3-9-27, South Melbourne 3-8-26. The last time the two teams met in a grand final. Please.
They called that the clash of the
please.
traditional rivals at the time too.
Did
apparently.
they?
Yeah,
They didn't
yeah.
clash very often.
No, it was
that was the last time.
It was a very big day, that one.
1899. You on your penny farthing.
They ran out of beer at half time. Major kerfuffle over that.
Really? Is that true? Or is that
Just made it up.
Right.
Hey,
Did they have
Gordon.
beer in those days?
Yes.
You couldn't buy beer.
Yeah. Hi, Quarters and Barra. I hope that the Gold Coast Suns say no to picking up Dusty. They don't need any more marquee players. They need to start to have their own identity as a club. I'm glad Mac Andrews signed long-term with the club, and hopefully others follow him. My tip this weekend is Swans, so Chad Warner will want to come home. Clearly, well, he could be an Eagles or a Dockers supporter. Cheers, that's Paul from Rockingham. I agree with you. Yeah, I don't want Dusty to go to Gold Coast, and I think the only way he's going to go, and there have been people talking about Fremantle and people should pick up Dusty, mate, he's only going to Gold Coast or nowhere because of the coach, right, Damien Hardwick. But I just think if you look at players who've gone to clubs late for their twilight seasons, they've got like an on-field leadership role.
Hodgie and Lewis.
I don't think Dusty...
You're just talking about your blokes though, aren't you?
No. Well,
Hodgie and Lewis.
Okay, names...
Are you saying successful transitions?
I'm saying that I don't think Dusty...
It's like Dermott and all those guys went.
I think the game's gone past Dusty. That's what I'm trying to say. And I don't think he can...
Do you reckon it had gone past Dermott?
Yep.
He went to
Sydney.
clubs.
He was at Sydney. Collingwood, he was all right because he was really important to Sav Rocker.
You got to know when to bow out, don't you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
it's like Mundy. Mundy could have gone on maybe. Even the Pavlova probably could have gone on.
Mundy a year.
You know. Mundy probably should have stayed at the Dockers for another year. When you think about it, nothing happened, did it? You know what I mean? It would have been helpful with the young blokes.
Would have been. Hello, boys. Well done to Peel Thunder on winning the WAFL Premiership. While it is clearly inequitable for AFL-aligned teams with half of the team being professionals playing against teams comprised entirely of amateurs, Peel did no more than play and win under the existing rules. However, the existing arrangements clearly diminish the integrity and value of the WAFL. I expect that President Barra will agree with me that the solution has to be to greatly increase the player salary cap for the non-aligned teams to enable them to compete on a more level basis. This would, of course, require more funding for the clubs. I'm not going to be very popular for this suggestion, but if the V/AFL put a fraction of the money that it pours into the AFLW competition into the WAFL and other state leagues, that would go a long way to remedying the current inequities. I'm more than happy for the AFLW to flourish, but it should be self-sustaining, not heavily subsidised far beyond the level of public interest in the product. That's Steve from Sorrento. Thoughts, Barra?
Yeah, well, he's right that the traditional clubs, which Perth is one of, is probably, not fully on board with the whole 12 Dockers guys. I can imagine what it would be like. A lot of those Dockers guys did play a lot of footy for Peel, though. That's the thing as well, isn't it? So there are rules. As far as a salary cap, extra money for us goes, they get paid. They have a lesser salary cap, like the West Coast Eagles have a much lesser salary cap. So maybe it's that way, rather than trying to find more money for players. But let's be honest, it is a better result for if South Fremantle wins or East Fremantle wins, East Perth wins, West Perth wins.
East Fremantle beat Peel last year quite comfortably. So it's not...
Yeah, that's what I just said. If that happens, that's good. But if Peel wins, it takes the edge off the comp a bit, a little bit. And imagine if it was Peel versus the Eagles. Just imagine that in a grand final. What would that do to the joint?
Wouldn't be too many there.
Yeah, and just kill them.
Yep.
Perth. Subi don't have a lot of members. Claremont don't have a lot of members. But South, East Fremantle, East Perth, West Perth, Perth, Swans, they're the sort of clubs that are going to really pull in the big crowds. So I know what he's saying. Yep.
Hi, Quarters and Barra. It's been 13 months since the Tasmanian government agreed to build a purpose-built stadium with a roof in Hobart. Has there been any progress at all? I would be interested in the devil in the detail. That's from Michelle.
There's a bit of hiccups there, is there? By the sound of it?
There were political hiccups, but
I
think the election's come and gone, and I think it's okay. It's going ahead. So I just always think it should be slightly bigger. What is it, 24 or something with the roof?
But nothing's happened.
I think it should be 30.
I'm being told that there's
no progress.
There's no progress. Yeah,
at Macquarie Point,
and
the old sewage plant just sitting there, just being a sewage plant. Okay.
Pretty soon they're going to have to get going.
Yeah, be careful what you wish for, people from Hobart. It's just. You're going to regenerate.
Join the BFL.
Join the mainland, I'd say. Hey,
do they get their premierships as well when they come in, Tasmania? Have they got anything? Do they get to?
They've come into the competition. They weren't an existing club.
Oh, bad.
Well, hang on. What premierships?
Sorry, mate. No, that's right.
What
It's all
pro-
about the Victorian
Hang on,
clubs.
but they've just
How
created
can it
a
always
new
be
club.
about... It's just about the Victorian clubs.
Righto.
I mean, but how unfair is that on them, the Tasmanians? They start 16 premierships behind.
Hang on.
Based on 1899 or whatever about you bastards. When did the Hawks win their first one?
1961.
61.
Didn't join the comp till 1925, mate.
Well, you're not so
When
bad.
we joined the comp in 25.
But Melbourne and that, they go back to
Melbourne
the 30s.
Collingwood had won 5 or 6 already.
I know. I mean,
You can erase those ones.
So
I reckon
even-
go
even
back to
just-
1925. I reckon go back to 1961 and then go from there.
but even just talking about how many flags you've got Melbourne, like give us a spell. I mean, way back in the 20s and 30s, and where the Eagles have come in 87. You know what I mean? And now Tassie in, what is it, 27, is it? 28.
28, I think. Anyway, Quarters and Barra. Another one about Dusty Martin. Your discussion about Martin's bid to play for the Gold Coast has challenged my views about him because I always thought he would eventually end up in a prison bar jumper. Haha, that's from Andrew.
Ooh.
Hey, one final one, bit of a visual. And we can talk about
Always
the coaching
good on
now.
podcast.
High
Hey, we've got a
Quarters,
camera here. Hold it up.
High Quarters and Barra. What do we know about Stephen King and what he brings as the possible front runner to the West Coast Eagles coaching position? If he does become West Coast Eagles, I can just imagine the fodder it provides for the back page of the West. May I preempt the back page if Stephen King is in fact successful? There you go, Stephen King.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
the
lots of
book.
lots of
So the horror,
genre.
the horror
Yeah,
genre.
that'll get a run.
Yeah, probably.
Jacob would be into that, wouldn't he?
Yeah, why not?
And you'd be guiding him.
I don't guide.
Most of those headlines come from you. People don't know that. but
No,
you-
they don't, mate. I used to have a hand in that. I don't anymore. Where are we at with the coaching? We're expecting probably early next week.
Yeah, well, I actually thought it'd be tomorrow.
Okay.
But I see Pike.
They're all
has-
in Melbourne.
He's stayed over there, so
For the grand final.
and they're over there, so it'd be tricky.
I think a few.
and
I
then
think
the AFL
the
won't-
chairman's over there too, Paul Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, I think there's meetings, conferences. So I don't think the AFL would want them doing it on Thursday or Friday and
No.
taking anything away from the build-up.
No.
So we're probably talking Monday, Tuesday, aren't
Yeah,
we?
next week.
Yeah.
So Hayden Skipworth,
The front runner.
the front runner. I think Stephen King, and glad to see Stephen King's well too after
Yeah.
that.
And I thought he was out completely because of the collapsing at
Yeah.
training, but apparently because of the dehydration and everything, it's nothing heart-related or stroke or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So he probably... It's just a one-off thing, so maybe he is back in the
and McQualter's
chop
the
up.
other one who there's a lot big raps for as well. So they got a big decision, clearly a big decision to make.
And Jared Schofield, he must be feeling a bit
Yeah,
flat. And,
Yeah.
and there's talk of him going to. Did you guys write?
not my
that?
decision to make. Yeah, but no, I think it was more of an opinion piece. Maybe he should go over to
Is that
Freo
your
and help
opinion or
them.
someone
No, it
else's
was someone
opinion?
else's. But I don't look.
You know what they say
I
about
still
opinions?
think. I think. Well, it's an industry. It's a opinion-driven industry, Barrow.
A bit
we're
like
entitled to have
BMWs,
them.
mate.
What's that?
Everyone's got one, and
haven't.
something else.
I haven't.
A-holes.
I haven't got it.
What was the case for him to go to Fremantle? What was the case?
I think because you've missed out on the gig. It's a bit like McQualter. He missed out on did a really good job at Richmond as caretaker and then missed out, so he moved to Melbourne. So sometimes you've got to regenerate.
Yeah.
But look, the incoming coach he might want to bring his own people. So it's a bit of a shame. I like the way Jared Schofield coached. And look, there were some big losses at the end, but that's not really his fault. But I thought they played well for him for a period. But anyway, it's not my decision.
It's tricky
so-
if he goes back to Freo. That's where he started, eh?
Yeah, bit of a shame for him, but I would have thought, who knows? He might surprise us still. But
So the new bloke, say it's Skipworth. He'll bring in a mate. So he'll have a right hand man.
Yeah.
He'll bring
he
someone
brings
with
a
him.
bit of Collingwood intel because he's been an
Yep.
assistant at Collingwood for quite some time now.
And then they say to him, in 12 months' time, you can reevaluate your coaching lineup. So in 12 months' time, that's when you're in the gun if you're scoey.
And
But if
King-
he's good, he'll keep him.
King brings a bit of Gold Coast, did a bit of coaching there. Of course, he's been at Geelong this year, so there's a fair bit there, and obviously a premiership player
Just
there.
get Chris Scott's playbook and,
Yeah.
and what's
McQualter, I think-
what's the recruiting guy's name?
Stephen Wells.
Yeah, you'd want to bring that IP as well.
You would.
And
And
they
I think,
keep regenerating without ever going down the
I
ladder.
think McQualter's intriguing too, because at Richmond through the build and through that very successful era,
Yeah.
and then a little bit of time at Melbourne too. So not a great year at Melbourne, but that's not his doing. But really interesting 3 candidates, I reckon.
Yeah, it's going to
4 if you include Schofield.
And they do the psychology testing last, the psych tests. So that'll be interesting to see what comes out of that. What sort of psych are they looking for someone who's a bit harder with a hard edge like Skipworth? Or are they looking for a friendlier dude like the Richmond dude, Mick Walter? Or are they looking for someone who's more like Justin Longmuir, who's King? That's what King's like, quiet, sort of thoughtful, Doesn't flare like some of the modern...
Can you not find someone with a few of all of the above attributes?
Yeah. I thought it was...
Does Schofield have that?
I heard it. Someone...
I reckon he does.
Yeah. Yeah, well, maybe. It sounds like he's out of the picture, eh?
Yep.
But you never know.
No, let's hope not. You have been listening to Quarters and Barra. We have been brought to you by Tab Touch. Got the touch? Download the Tab Touch app today. Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. We will be back on Thursday, which will be our second last podcast for the year. Of course, we will be wrapping up next Tuesday, so make sure you listen to that. But we'll be back on Thursday to give you our tips
on who's going to win
AFL Grand Final. Sydney v Brisbane.
Will anyone have the courage to tip the Lions?
Let's wait and see, shall we, Barra? Talk to you then.